Doubles and coffee. Did you ever think a man on a ladder in an airport could bring so much excitement to so many in a nation? A man went up on a ladder in the airport, in the atrium yesterday, and took down Stuart Richard Young's picture. And that video went viral within the first 10 minutes. People celebrating and sharing it. Why? The man was just moving the picture around to make space for the duly elected by a landslide new Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar. They were just making space. Plus they had to put on the dates for which Stuart Richard Young was selected by Keith Rowley to be Prime Minister without any due process in the PNM, without any special convention, without being leader of the PNM. Rowley just wanted his elitist selected Prime Minister who would lead the PNM into election and victory. And they got the soundest cocktail in the history of politics from Kamla Persad-Bissessar, the Coalition of Interest and the UNC. But what celebration! Do you know that was met by sadness when people realized that they were just making space for Kamla Persad-Bissessar's picture and to put up March 17th to April 28th? That was the Kobo sweat of Stuart Richard Young. Stuart Richard Young, for you to still attempt to be arrogant, I am not feeling sorry for you to know that an entire country despises you so much that just the mere sight of your picture coming down evoked feelings of celebration. It was like we got SEA results and we got first choice because people detest what you are, what you represent, who you are, what your father is, what you did to try to put yourself on top of us, the people, without learning who we are, without getting to know us, without us having any respect for you. That is Stuart Richard Young. Well, I was celebrating too when it was coming down. I ain't gonna lie. It should not be up. Because those prime ministers up there, even Rowley, who I detest, he won an election. Whether the system is rigged, whatever you want to say, Rowley won. Rowley went up and Rowley won. So Rowley picture had to be there. I had to watch it, I had to turn my eyes. Stuart Richard Young won nothing. Dr. Williams won. George Chambers was there. The A&R Robinson, Pastor Pandey, Patrick Manning, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, and Kamla Persad-Bissessar again. But Stuart Richard Young, if that don't bring you down to earth, if that don't make you hush, if that don't make you realize, if that kind of rejection has no impact on your arrogance, on your hubris, on your elitism, if that don't make you realize that Imran has won, Imran is the man, Imran is Trinidad and Tobago, not bullies like you. And then Stuart Richard Young, yesterday, boy, you better mark that down on your calendar, boy. It was a red letter day for you. The country was red and ready for you. Your PNM, your party, stood there in the parliament and abstained. They did not want you to receive your pension because they and all knew that you did not deserve it, that you were not their leader. But these are the people who were supporting you, who were telling you you were so great during an election campaign, who were clapping and standing when you walked in to political meetings to make a buffoon of yourself. The worst political speeches ever. But that shows you what type of people the PNM is made up of. The PNM leadership. They left Stuart Richard Young out to dry. Them abstained. They could not even get up and try to defend. They could not work on it. They couldn't vote for it because they know that Stuart Richard Young did not deserve a PNM pension. He did not, a PM pension. He did not deserve to be Prime Minister. He was not their leader. But think about it. They all were in an election, knowing in their heart that that was their opinion. They could not accept Stuart Richard Young. Let's for a moment fathom, had the population not been on to them, the PNM, had social media not been able to bring the truth, had newspapers like Guardian Media Limited, Express, Newsday, television stations like TV6, CNC3, and 13 radio stations managed to convince you like they had done before in 2015 and 2020 by with COVID, that the PNM was viable, that Stuart Richard Young was a young, new, vibrant leadership and new direction for the PNM and for the country, and had people made the mistake and voted for that. All of those PNM MPs who had to abstain and could not support Stuart Richard Young would have been in a cabinet with Stuart Richard Young as Prime Minister. Think about that for a moment and think about the DNA of the PNM leadership. All of those in Parliament. That is not what you want your children to be. They have no conviction. They have no testicular fortitude. They stand for nothing. They were willing to work hard, run their blood to water, to elect a man who they did not agree should have been the leader, to lead our country and be Prime Minister. Think about that. And when you realize what the PNM is, reject the PNM forever. The PNM has run its course. The PNM is dead and must remain dead. Stuart Richard Young, how you could go in the Parliament and say, we're going to look. You can't look across the aisle because you have 27 UNC MPs who dislike you, who do not respect you, who do not agree with your hubris and your talking down to people and your arrogance and your recusals and your nepotism. And when you look to your right, all them PNM don't like you either. So what you going to do? Look down to your shoe? Boy, Stuart Richard Young, they always say karma is real. Imran has his revenge. Imran can live and breathe and know that the 5 years of torture that you put him through, your life now is tortured 10 times more. Every morning you wake up, you realize that you, Stuart Richard Young, are a reject. Think about that. Your own party, your own red jersey, you who was playing tune about Stuarty, who call you Stuarty, you give yourself a lovable nickname, but nobody love you. Your own party rejected. All you understand, go and read what took place. You know. I want to commend Kamla Prasad, this is Dave Tanko and the UNC. Because anybody who could vote to give a man who did not earn a job, who didn't even have the courage to challenge for leadership of the PNM, who used shenanigans and his former Prime Minister's games and power and bullying, bordering on extortion, to make people select you as a Prime Minister, who then put his hand on a Bible and swore to serve the country, you know. A man who had already served for 9.5 years, and the only people who benefited was people close to him. Any man and any party that could do that, could tolerate that, could promote that, should and must be rejected out of hand. The PNM has shown you who they are, and you must never let them rise again. To the media, or they're trying to play it down. That rejection is the biggest rejection in political history. That should be plastered over every front page. You're talking about managerial changes and so on. Kamla Prasad, the Sessa, is the Prime Minister, and she's moving forward together with the country. The country is breathing. The country has hope. Kamla is leading with humility and love and care. The bill, the parliament, the legislature is being used to serve the people. Stuart Richard Young did not even have the courage to go to the parliament. He made up some flippant excuse as some sort of protest that, oh, woe is me, Let me cry a tear and go super farm and get a Kleenex and wipe my tears. They're coming after me. They're coming after my pension. I'm not going. It's ad hominem. They coming. No. If you were a man, Stuart Richard Young, that would have never even had to take place. Because a real man would have known, I don't deserve a $1 million pension for the rest of my life. And I am a young man, 50 years old. If I live 35 years, that is $40 million of taxpayers' money for doing what? For rowdy bullying people and getting 9/11 to be 20-0? Me? I don't deserve that. I would have said, you see, Stuart Young, because your daddy didn't bring you up properly, but you should blame your daddy. Your father might be the worst father in history. When Father's Day come, you should just chips because he never taught you anything. You allowed that to go through. You should have written a letter. You should have done whatever you had to do to say, I do not want that. I do not qualify for that. You should have gone in the parliament if there was no other way and it had to go through the parliament. You should have stood up. You should have told the government, I would like to make a statement. And you should have made a statement as a man saying, listen, this is unnecessary. I do not want any pension. I have not been the prime minister. I do not deserve it. I was not elected. And I would not put my country under that burden. I worked for something that I did not work for, that I did not earn, that I did not deserve. That is what you should have done, Stuart Young. You let it go forward and watch your teammates, people who you thought love you and hug you as you came out of a big SUV with special branch all around, and they abstain. And you're a stain on the history of the PNM. You're a stain on the history of Trinidad and Tobago. You are a stain on the history of your family. You are a stain on the history of yourself. But it's good for you. Never, ever have I seen more joy from people with a man climbing up a ladder and removing a picture. Stuart, if you're a man, you should tell them really take down your picture. You were never elected. Do I expect you to do that? No, because there's a gap in your development. And that gap was called parenting. Well done, Trinidad and Tobago. We can move on and never look back at the PNM.